once again to Niagara Fire Corals. I'm Steve, and you guys want to get rid of those pesky water heaters in your sumps? Stick with me. I'm going to show you guys how once and for all. Okay, so I've brought you over to my sump here, and as you can see, there's a big coil of PEX, half-inch PEX line in there. I know you see a heater there, and this whole video is about getting rid of the heaters. I still have a couple of heaters in there. They are not used. They do not ever kick on. They are actually labeled as emergency heat in my Apex, and they are simply used for if the pump for this closed loop heating system I'm using was to fail and it stopped heating my tank. Once the tank dropped a couple of degrees, those heaters would kick on as a fail-safe. I'm always pushing redundancy, and that is just redundancy for me. I always try to make sure I have something in place in case something fails. So that's why that heater's in there, but these heaters are not used. I do turn them on for a few minutes every couple of weeks just to make sure that they're working and there's no issues. But those heaters are never used. So I'm going to take you guys through exactly how this closed loop heating system I've got set up in here is run, how I did it, and I'll show you how tightly it keeps my tank temps. So I'll take you over to where I started from, and I'll walk you through the whole system and explain it to you. All right, so here we are at where it all begins. So that copper line that you see there, that is the hot water line off of my hot water tank and going to the house. I teed off of that with the PEX, ran it along. There's a shut off in case I have to do some type of maintenance or there's some type of issue. I threw that shut off in line. It comes across. This line here, this is the line coming down. Okay. It enters the sump, goes around the coil, comes back out. And here's the pump that drives it all. Comes through the pump. This is a back check valve, another shut off in case I had to do more maintenance. It goes up and it goes back to the hot water tank. I'll take you guys in there and I'll show you how I hooked it back to the hot water tank. Hey guys, sorry if it's a little bit noisy in here, but my furnace and the hot water tank are both running at the same time. Okay, so this is where the loop comes back into the hot water tank. This would be your cold line coming back. So this would be the line that feeds into your hot water tank from, say, the road. As you can see, as you can see there, that's the cold side. That's the cold side. That's where the line comes back to, okay? This is the hot line heading out, and further down that line, that is where you saw that I teed off of this line here, the hot, okay? So it's a real simple closed loop to do. The important part is how you program it into your Apex or whatever controller you're using, so it works properly, and that's the part that I'll explain, so you can hold your temp super tight and you won't need heaters anymore. Okay, so we're back in the sump room, and again we're back to this pump that I pointed out. This pump here is same pumps you would use for like in-floor heating under ceramic tiles, under any type of flooring. I bought this pump off of, I believe it was Amazon. I'll look. If I can find the link, I'll put it in the description. I believe I bought it off Amazon. It was like $100, maybe $110. This you will program essentially like your heater. It has to be programmed a little differently, and I'll show you that. I'll put a screenshot up in just a second here and show you exactly how I've written the code for this. But when your tank calls for heat, same way it would for if you were using heaters, when it says, "Hey, I need some heat to warm up the water," this pump kicks on. When this pump kicks on, obviously it starts pulling nice, fresh, hot water from your hot water tank into that coil that's in the sump. It will only do that for a maximum time of 1 minute, and then it will shut off. Even if the tank is still saying it wants heat. I'll explain why when I show you some screenshots of how I've programmed it. And you will also need 2 temp probes. I have one here. This is the first chamber coming back. These are the lines coming back from the main display. There's a temp probe there. That is the one that is going to say whether or not the tank needs heat, needs to be warmed up. The second temp probe I have over here in the last chamber, which is obviously on the other side of this coil. And the reason being is that coil is going to start warming up the water. But if you didn't have this second one over here that I'll explain in the programming how I use them, you could potentially overshoot your temperature that you're looking to hit fairly badly, because by the time this coil heated everything up to the point in which that temp probe tells it it's good, it's going to continue heating for quite a while after, because that coil is going to be filled with extremely hot water that's going to radiate off for a while. So I'll explain all this when you can see the screenshot, and then you'll understand better what I mean by this. But it is an extremely simple system to set up. I've had 0 issues, and I'll show you a screenshot of my temperature, say for the last 24 hours. There it is there. You can see that it's holding my tank 0.2 of a degree. That's crazy. So I'm going to take you into a couple of screenshots of how I have it programmed, and I'll explain them to you now. Alright, so here we are. We're looking at a split screen of my 2 temp probes and the configuration of the programming I use for that pump that works like your heater. So the DT temp probe would be the first chamber probe, the water coming back from the display tank. And the SM temp would be the probe that's in the last chamber of the sump before it's pumped back out to the display tank. Excuse me. So as you can see, we're using the oscillating command here, the OSC 0, 1 minute, 3 minutes. So what that's essentially saying is that it'll turn on for 1 minute and off for 3 minutes when the system calls for some heat. So if DT temp, so if my display temp, that first probe, hits 77.1, then it's off. If the sump temp hits 77.4, then off. So in other words, what this means is the display, as soon as it hits 77 degrees, that pump will turn on. That pump starts heating the water very quickly, actually, in the sump. So that's why I have that second probe that's after that coil. That sump water will go from 77.1 to 77.4 very quickly. Once it hits 77.4, it'll turn off. If it wasn't to hit 77.4 in that, half a minute, 45 seconds, if it was to run for a full minute, it'll shut it off anyways for 3 minutes. That's just, again, another redundancy, but that's how it works. It's simply gonna have that first probe coming back from the display tank saying saying that it needs heat at 77 degrees, and the sump will shut it off at 77.4, which is that secondary Temp probe, by the time that water that's warm, that 0.3 of a degree, works its way through the system, that is what will bring the temperature of the full system up, you know, 0.1 to 0.3 of a degree each time that pump turns on. And as you saw earlier in the video, you can see just how tight it holds my my temp of my system. It works extremely well. I've been running this closed loop heat off my hot water tank now for close to a year. I've had zero issues, and it's been amazing. And the savings alone on not running 4 300-watt heaters is crazy, guys. So, I mean, hopefully you guys will take the opportunity to try this out. All right, so that's how easy it is to set up a closed loop hot water heater off your natural gas heater hot water tank, and you can get rid of those pesky, expensive heaters in your system. I know for me, it got rid of 4 300-watt heaters that I was running in here all the time. Super easy to do. I hope this video helped you guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you get more cool videos like this where hopefully I can help you out. And stick with me. I'll see you guys on the next one, and happy reefing.